Alright, so here we go. This is a video about my favorite music artists. So yeah, I've done like a lot of like reactions. So like I guess I wanted to do a video where I show my favorite musicians, I guess. And so people can just see where I'm coming from and see who my favorite artists are as a 21-year-old. And yeah, so I just wanted to do that and yeah, just do that. So anyway, there's 15 artists here. Well, I guess 16 actually, because I want to give a shout out to somebody as well. But yeah, there's a lot of bands and just musicians that I like. So it's like this is a hard list to make, but yeah. So we're just gonna get into it here, and here we go. This is 16. This is Wham, and also I put George Michael in with this. So yeah, just Wham and George Michael play together. But yeah, just love their music, their poppy music, and yeah, Andrew Ridgeley and George Michael were both very just handsome men, and George is gone now, which sucks. But yeah, his music lives on, and yeah, I just love Wham and what they did throughout the '80s. There was pretty insane, and their album "Make It Big" is like one of the like biggest albums in UK history, at least. And yeah, it's just a great band out of the UK. Okay, so yeah, number 16. 15 is Johnny Cash, and one of my favorite artists as well, mostly because growing up, my dad played a lot of Johnny Cash, which just stuck with me. And then, of course, with the movie Walk the Line, uh, just gave me more of a affection for Johnny Cash, and yeah, just love Johnny Cash. Love his voice, the deep voice. Love probably Walk the Line is probably my favorite Johnny Cash song, and just love his vocals on pretty much every track he's ever done. And yeah, he's just one of the most important artists in American history, and yeah, just quite a guy. And yeah, he was great. Okay, so 14, Marilyn Manson. So controversial, I guess you could say. When he came out in 1996 or so, 94, I guess he had his like first debut album with his band there. But yeah, just always controversial. Less so these days, I guess, because like there's a lot of controversial people. But yeah, just a great artist. I loved his music. Mostly, I guess I got into him through like other like YouTubers or something I watched, and specifically The Amazing Atheist when I watched him a lot, like I guess like 5 years ago or something. Since Manson is like his favorite artist, that kind of rubbed off on me. And yeah, throughout high school, I just really loved Manson, and yeah, he's a great eloquent speaker. That's what really caught me about Manson when I watched his interviews before I really listened to his music. He just like with the makeup and everything like that. A lot of people just expected him to be kind of dumb, but he's actually very intelligent and yeah, comes across as a intelligent guy. So yeah, that's Marilyn Manson. All right, so 13 here. We got MCR, My Chemical Romance. Um, love My Chemical Romance. Just great music. I don't know. Their album, The Black Parade, obviously is like one of the most revered albums of the last like 15 years now, I guess. And yeah, I just love Gerard Way's voice and their look and everything they stood for. Just great music. A lot of it's dark, I guess, but like it's just great. And yeah, they just really stuck with me throughout high school, especially. I guess a lot of this is gonna be with high school, and like I just love these bands since then, so it's like hard to let go of any of them. So that's where a lot of these bands are coming from. But yeah, get me through my teenage years and all that stuff. So yeah, MCR at 13, and it sucks they broke up, I guess. But now Gerard Way is doing his own thing with the whole comics and all that, and everyone else seems to be doing all right. So yeah, that's fine. Number 12, Weezer. Weezer is just like a band. It's like, I guess it's like I don't know. You could say like they're kind of nerds or they're geeks or whatever, but they really use that to their advantage ever since they came out in '94 with the Blue Album, which is my favorite album. A lot of people like Pinkerton, but I like the Blue Album, and the most. And yeah, I just love this band. I really got into them about grade 10, I guess, when I was like 15. I heard one of my friends played El Scorcho, and that was like the first song where I was like, whoa, I like this band. So yeah, of course I've heard like Buddy Holly and I guess like Beverly Hills just because it's on the radio a lot. But yeah, El Scorcho, that was the first track that got me into them. And ever since then it's just been great. Obviously, nowadays they're not like putting out as good as music, I guess, as they did in the '90s and stuff. I mean, some of their last records have been pretty good, but lately it hasn't been like top notch. But I mean, all these bands have put out like bad records, I guess, over their discography. But just overall, they're my favorite bands. So yeah. Anyway, that's Weezer. Uh, Number 11, the Beatles. Obviously, one of the biggest and most important bands of all time. Some people would rank them as the greatest rock band of all time and everything, but that's like not what this list is about. Just my favorite musicians. But of course, I'd say like the Beatles have had the like biggest influence on a lot of bands, and they're probably the most important band of all time, probably I'd say. But yeah, anyway, it's just the Beatles. A lot of great hits, obviously. I mean, some of my favorite songs like "Twist and Shout," "Yesterday," and "Come Together." I mean, it's just all the big ones, really. But I mean, also with my dad, I heard a lot of the Beatles, and yeah, it's just I've heard a lot of their albums just in car rides and all that stuff. So it's like I know a lot of songs of theirs which have stuck with me. But yeah, it's probably "Yesterday" is probably my favorite Beatles song, and that song just gets right in the feels. And yeah, just the Beatles overall. Just each member had their own thing. I mean, Paul and John, obviously great songwriters and great voices too. I really love John's voice. George Harrison, really underrated. And Ringo Starr, he's also underrated too. He gets a lot of flack, but his drumming was very different from others, and it's really influenced many drummers to come. So yeah, the Beatles at 11. All right, so number 10 is Pearl Jam. Now going through high school, um, grunge was a big thing for me, and I guess probably in like grade 10 again when I was 15 or something. I really got into Nirvana first, and from there it snowballed. And I can't remember if it was like Alice in Chains next or what, but then it was Pearl Jam and Eddie Vedder, his vocals. A lot of like their early work just blew me away with especially Eddie Vedder's vocals and especially his look. He was pretty handsome himself, and yeah, they were a great band, really good live band as well, and just so energetic, and their music is infectious, you could say. And yeah, a lot of their music got me through some times as well. And yeah, it's just great, relatable stuff. And yeah, they were a really good, big part of my life, and they still are, I guess. So yeah, and they're still rocking, so that's pretty good. So number 9, Nirvana. Like I said, Nirvana was pretty much my introduction to grunge, like a lot of other people. I mean, Nirvana is one of the biggest bands, not just in the grunge era, but of all time. They have been influential on many bands as well for the '90s. And yeah, it's just Nirvana. Obviously, everyone knows who they are, how Kurt ended his life and all that stuff, and as well just with Dave Grohl going on to be in the Foo Fighters, creating them. And yeah, just their discography speaks for itself. They've been inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. They're just one of the most revered bands of all time as well. And yeah, Nirvana just like I said, an introduction to grunge for me, and they're a really big part of my life. I remember walking home a lot, listening to this band, and yeah, I just remember those times, and those have stuck with me, and I still love them. So yeah. So number 8 is Alice in Chains, my favorite grunge band, I guess you could say, in this list, but it's just by a little bit. And it's mostly because of Lane Staley's vocals before he went down his path there in about 1996 or 7 and really kind of like started fading away from the public eye. But before that, in like 1990, when they released Facelift, and then in '92, I think, with Dirt, I mean, his vocals just were so good, and I think he had the best voice of the grunge like era in the early '90s and all that, and also his harmonies with Jerry Cantrell, the guitarist, it was just haunting, yet beautiful. So yeah, I mean, it's just I just really like Alice in Chains. Um, their live performances, like I said, are very good. Their MTV Unplugged is might be my favorite Unplugged next to Pearl Jam's. So yeah, and Nirvana did an Unplugged as well. So that's where like a lot of these bands came in, where I was just like blown away with their Unplugs and yeah, their MTV Unplugs. And so yeah, I mean, Alice in Chains is just my favorite grunge band, I guess. And yeah, like I said, love Lane Staley's vocals, and it's just sad what happened to him. But the band's still going now with a new singer. But I mean, it's never gonna be the same as Staley. But either way, congrats for them. And yeah, let's move on here. So number 7, the Cars. Obviously, recently, Rico Kasich has passed away as well, and as Benjamin Orr did in 2000. So like, and they were both the lead vocalists. So it's like both of them are gone. Like the voices of the Cars are gone now, which kind of sucks. But I mean, it's been like 40 years since they came out. So your favorite artists are going to end up dying anyway at the end of it. So I mean, it sucks, but it's what happens with life. But yeah, the Cars were, I mean, I guess I heard like a song on the radio. It was probably like Just What I Needed, or one of their popular ones that they play on the radio. So I heard that, and I had to go home and search up this band because I'd never heard anything like it. So yeah, I searched them up, and they became one of my favorite bands. This was like, again, in high school. Like I said, a lot of these bands are from my high school years when I discovered other music from other people and all that stuff. So yeah, I mean, The Cars, just one of my favorite bands. With the track "Moving in Stereo," one of my favorite songs of all time. I don't know what it is. I just really love that song, and Benjamin Orr's sweet vocals on that. He was also quite the looker, and a lot of that really helps with their music and stuff. I don't know. It was just he was just pretty, I guess, and even the band said that as well. He was the eye candy of the band, and yeah, it really worked out for them. And they've also been inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, and yeah, they deserve all the credit they get. And probably one of the most underrated bands, in my opinion. And even though they've had some like worldwide success, I still think they're overlooked. But yeah, anyway, love the Cars at number 7. Okay, number 6, we got the Beastie Boys. This band, I mean, I remember listening to them when I was like 14, probably going into high school, and just I really liked rap. I got that from like my sister, I guess, and from like Eminem and like 50 Cent. She had all this. She was older, so I learned about rap music from her, and yeah, I just kind of set out on my own and found the Beastie Boys. I don't even remember how, but I just loved their energy and their like attitudes, I guess, watching old videos on YouTube of performances, and then just getting to know them and all that through interviews. It was just, they were just different, I guess. And also, I mean, a lot of rappers, I mean, they're like black, I guess you could say, and just seeing the Beastie Boys come out, it was just kind of different, and it was a different feel. Even, I mean, when I think about Eminem, he really was influenced by the Beastie Boys, goodness, and yeah, like I can see that. I just really love the Beastie Boys, and I don't know what it is. I just really love their discography. Again, I remember going through car rides, whatever we're going camping or whatever, and just listening to the Beastie Boys on my headphones. And yeah, I just, those are fond memories, and have stuck with me. And I just still love the Beastie Boys. And it sucks that Adam Yauch is dead, as well as many other people in these bands that I've mentioned, but I mean, that's how it goes, and yeah, their music still lives on, you know. So yeah, Beastie Boys. All right, so number 6 here, we got Sex Pistols. This was a big influence on me as a teenager, in my teenage years, whatever. And yeah, just the Sex Pistols. I mean, I liked punk music as well. The rap and punk were probably like my big favorites, I guess, when I was like around 15 years old. And when I heard the Pistols for the first time, they like blew me away. Um, I don't remember how I found them again, but I listened to bands like The Clash and the Ramones. But then when I heard the Pistols, it was just something different. And also, they're one of the most important punk bands of all time. Some say it's just like, oh, they're overrated, whatever. But I mean, it's for good reason. They had like their only studio album, and it's just one of my favorite albums of all time. And their music speaks for itself. Just no F's to be given. And yeah, just Johnny Rotten, one of my favorite just figures, I guess, of all time. one of my favorite people. He's just so funny. Everything you hang off his every word with his interviews and everything. And yeah, he's just you never know what you're going to get with him. Obviously, Sid Vicious was quite a figure as well. Unfortunately, he has died early, in like 1979, I think. And yeah, Steve Jones, guitarist, and he had to play bass on their only album because Sid Vicious wasn't very good. So he was, if Steve Jones wasn't in the band, this band would have sounded way different. And so yeah, he was a big part of the band. Underrated. And then you got Paul Cook on drums. He was just there. He was perfect for the band, perfect fit. And of course, you had Glenn Matlock, who was in the band before Sid Vicious, and he helped write a lot of their songs. And so yeah, I think only Vicious co-wrote like two songs with them. So it's like Matlock got a lot of the credit, and then he left before they like really made it. But what are you gonna do? So yeah, Sex Pistols there, one of my favorite bands of all time, and very influential on me as a teen. So we got Eminem next here, number 4. Um, like I said before, I really like rap, and Eminem is my favorite rap artist, I guess. And obviously, I mean, he's kind of like, I guess you could say, like lost his step now. He's like almost 50 years old, whatever. But I mean, I'm just saying, like his first like 3 albums, like big albums minus Infinite. Even Infinite's pretty good though. But I mean, you got like the Marshall Mathers LP, and you got Slim Shady LP, the Eminem Show. I mean, even Encore was pretty good, and then you got Recovery in 2010. That was really good. I remember that album was very impactful on me as like what I was like 13 or something. So yeah, just Eminem. I've always heard his music when I was like 5 years old. I've heard it being played by my sister, and yeah, so I really am glad I had that experience. And yeah, Eminem is just one of my favorite artists of all time. Obviously, my favorite rap artist of all time. And yeah, he just always will be up there for me. And yeah, he's just great, I guess. So yeah, we'll move on. Number 3, the Beach Boys. Again, my dad, he's I guess he's like over 60 years old, so it's like he grew up in like the 60s, so he has like a lot of influence on who I like. And yeah, so the Beach Boys were a band that I really loved. Like I think in like grade middle school, I guess middle school is when I got into the Beach Boys, and it just from there even to now, that's been like what, almost 10 years. And yeah, I just really love the Beach Boys. Brian Wilson, one of the just a musical genius with like Pet Sounds. And obviously that album is one of the most like important albums of all time and ranked very highly on many lists, and rightfully so. So yeah, I just love the Beach Boys. The Wilson brothers, you got Dennis, Carl, and Brian. And Dennis was quite the figure as well as the drummer, and he had his own problems at the end of it when he unfortunately died by drowning, but he was quite the character. And Carl, very underrated vocals. He really showed his vocals on like tracks like God Only Knows. And yeah, it's just very underrated. And then of course you got Mike Love, who was the cousin of the Wilson brothers. And he wasn't very, I mean, he's not really, I guess you could say, liked even by like Brian Wilson or the other Wilson brothers. Mike Love has always been like kind of a polarizing figure, and he's always kind of been controversial in the band, and even fans haven't really liked him. But either way, Mike Love, his voice is on many great Beach Boys songs, and either way, he's just remembered for being in the Beach Boys. And yeah, he's just, I mean, I don't hate Mike Love, but I mean, I can see why a lot of people do. And even now, when the Beach Boys like have like their little reunions and stuff, Brian and Mike can only put up with each other for so long. And yeah, it's unfortunate to see, but I mean, that's how it goes with a lot of bands. But yeah, I never met Mike Love. Had never done anything to me, but I mean, altogether, I just really love the Beach Boys, and their music really spoke to me. So either way, I love that. And also, I guess I could say with Brian Wilson, a lot of the music he wrote, especially because he went through a bad time in like the mid '60s there with depression and everything. He still struggles with depression, and like there's a song "Till I Die," which is he said he wrote when he was like really suicidal, and that song is just really, I guess, relatable for many, including me. And yeah, it's just I can see where he's coming from, and just he's one of my favorite musical artists, just alone by himself. And yeah, just love this band, love him especially, and yeah. So the Beach Boys, I think I talked about them the most, but yeah. Anyway, number two, Oasis. This band probably got into them about a couple years ago now, but when Liam Gallagher was coming out with his own stuff on when he released it in October 2017 with his first solo album. But yeah, my sister, my younger sister, actually a different sister, she got me into Oasis here, and it was like my introduction to Britpop, I guess you could say, of the '90s, and just very influential on me and on many other bands. And yeah, just Oasis. You got Liam and Noel Gallagher pretty much co-fronting the band. Noel Gallagher, one of the greatest songwriters of his time, if not all time. He'll tell you he is. And yeah, Liam just on vocals, great vocals. And yeah, he was just probably from like '94 to '97. No one could touch Liam on the vocally, and yeah, I mean, it went downhill about the mid 2000s, early 2000s. If you see live performances, it's almost hard to watch Liam sing. He just kind of destroyed his voice at one point, which really sucks. But now, um, I guess you could say it's kind of like nasally and stuff. I mean, a lot of people still have problems with his voice, but I mean, that's just what happens when you age and when you go through what he's gone through with drugs and alcohol and everything, just not taking care of his voice. But recently, he has really tried, and you can tell he's done songs better live, and it's shown. Of course, they've the brothers Noel has done his own thing now with his High Flying Birds, and it's nice to see that they're still going to number one spot in their country, the UK there. So yeah, they're still polarizing figures, and it sucks that Oasis had to end the way it did, but obviously the Gallagher brothers have always had trouble getting along. But yeah, it's just one of those things again that happens, and I'd say that part of it probably really helped the music. But yeah, again, it just sucks they had to end. And again, I'd say with their other musicians in the band, with Bonehead there in the back behind Liam. I mean, he was the rhythm guitarist from 1991 to 1999, and very key part of the band. And then you had Gwigsy, Paul McGuigan, I think. He was on bass. He was from '91 to '99 as well. And yeah, again, the Gallagher's relationship pretty much like tore the band apart, I guess you could say. I mean, if you're going through that every day, it's hard to come back to the band. But I mean, either way, until '99, they did a lot of great stuff. Especially, I guess they had like three albums up to that point with Definitely Maybe, What's the Story More in Glory, and Be Here Now. And I mean, Be Here Now is kind of seen as a letdown now, but I mean, I still think there's a lot of great songs on there. My favorite song of all time by them is All Around the World, which features on Be Here Now. But yeah, just a great band. One of my favorite bands. It was hard to not put them at number one, but there is a band that I like more, and yeah, just really love this band. And also drummer, you had Tony McCarroll. He only played on the first album, and then I think like one song on What's the Story More in Glory, and then he was sacked from it, and then came in Alan White from '95 to 2004, and he did pretty much a lot of the most popular songs, I guess, from then on, obviously. And yeah, just great band altogether. And I feel the other members that aren't Noel and Liam don't get a lot of credit. But I mean, a band only goes as far as the musicians in it can take it. So yeah, I'm sure Noel could have did it all by himself, but it wouldn't have sounded the same. And yeah, just the connection of Liam and Noel. It was just lightning in a bottle, and they used it to make great music that's still played today. So yeah, all right. And number one, you got The Doors. So this band, The Doors, Jim Morrison, John Densmore, Robbie Krieger, Ray Manzarek. When I was about 15, I guess, getting more into like rock music from going from punk and all that stuff. The Doors, I don't know what it is, but they really caught me. I don't even remember how I got into them or what first song I heard, but they just captured me, and especially with Jim Morrison, I think he's one of the most beautiful men I've ever seen, and yeah, he's just his vocals, just everything about him. I know a lot of people say it's just like he's very overrated or the Doors are overrated or whatever. But I mean, just for me, Jim Morrison, I just his everything. I mean, he was just great, and now I got a message from this app, and that's great. And yeah, so I don't even know what to say. There's the Doors have had so much influence on me. Songs, just I have every album of theirs. I mean, I love every song, every album they have. And again, like I said, they get like called overrated or whatever. Like Jim Morrison wasn't a good singer. I've seen a lot of like videos or of like people talking about it, and yeah, I don't know why I put myself through that stuff, but yeah, I don't see it like that. Obviously, like "Light My Fire" is probably their biggest song, but like that's not it. That's not even my favorite song, I guess, by them. But I mean, just like their first album in 1967, which is one of the greatest debuts. Even it's been ranked as one of the greatest debuts by many lists. And yeah, it's just this band is just it's just I don't even know. I'm just speechless. I can't find words to explain how much I like this band or love this band. And so yeah, I mean Jim Morrison, obviously, like I said, had his own problems. He was an alcoholic. He was a poet. That's what he really was at the start before the Doors. And yeah, he was just quite a figure on his own. And really sucks how that all went down with him. And even like people saying like you get the whole like conspiracy theories that he's still alive somewhere, just like Tupac is or Michael Jackson, all that stuff. But I mean, Jim Morrison, he's gone. He died in 1971, and he's been dead ever since. And yeah, so and then you got I'd say Ray Manzarek next. He's on the keyboards, great keyboardist. I mean, I'd say I mean obviously it's a biased opinion, but I mean I guess not saying if I said like he's one of the greatest keyboardists of all time or pianists, whatever, organists. He's just his work on like songs like again like Light My Fire, Soul Kitchen, Roadhouse Blues, just on and on. I mean, you can't miss that piano. Touch Me. I mean, his work is just it's all there, and it's just so catchy and memorable. So yeah, and then you got John Densmore drums. He's probably overlooked, probably the most overlooked member of the band, I'd say, and he was just a perfect fit for the band. On drums. He didn't put the spotlight on himself or anything like that. He was just in the band. He was just a perfect fit, and yeah, he just was there, and he got to play with the Doors, and yeah, he was a very big part of the band. Helped co-write songs and put beats together, and yeah, he really influenced their sound with what he heard, and what he was influenced by, which he put into his drumming, and yeah, very memorable part of the band and an important part, just like every other part of the band is. Every other member is. So yeah, and then you got Robbie Krieger on guitar, and also he was a very underrated songwriter. He wrote "Light My Fire" and well came up with like the idea, I guess. The whole every member of the band is credited with writing most of the songs, and yeah, and that's how the band wanted it to be. They didn't want it to just be Jim Morrison or just Robbie Krieger or whatever on who wrote the song. So yeah, just everything they did together. And yeah, Robbie Krieger, very underrated guitarist as well. Many great riffs, and yeah, like I said, great songwriter too. He wrote, I think, "Love Me Two Times" as well. I can't really think of anything else on the top of my head, but yeah, yeah, just great musician overall. And again with the Doors, I mean, when you think of the Doors, you probably think of Jim Morrison first, and I remember hearing something about that where somebody introduced the band as Jim Morrison and the Doors, and Jim Morrison made the guy come back out and say just the Doors, and I just love that kind of stuff about what a band does, and yeah, it's just they were a great tight knit band even when Jim died in 1971, and the rest of the members had some fallouts and all that stuff. They kind of got together again before Ray Manzarek died in 2013. So it's all nice that they had like they put a lot of stuff to bed before that happened. So yeah, now it's just two of them are here still, which sucks. But again, that's what happens when you when your favorite artists are old, and you're like only 20. So yeah, you're gonna see them die, and it sucks to see, and it will make you depressed. But anyway, yeah, the music is still there here, and you can listen to it all the time, and yeah, it can just keep giving you life. So yeah, that was it, I guess. Those were 16 bands, I guess, altogether, and yeah, just they've all had, like I said, a lot of impact on me and my life and how I see things and all that stuff. So yeah, I guess that's the end of it. I just wanted to see or show people where I'm coming from with who my favorite bands are, with like how I've reacted to Tool and the Smiths and Smashing Pumpkins and yeah, The Cure and all that. These are my favorite bands, and yeah, music's just always had a lot of impact on me and has helped me through a lot of tough situations and happy times and sad times and all that stuff. So yeah, music is universal and it's just one of the greatest things in the world. And yeah, I'm just glad that people can watch their favorite artists, and yeah, the whole thing's pretty cool. So yeah, I thought I'd do this for just a Saturday thing, and yeah, thanks for watching all that stuff. If you Thanks for liking and commenting and subscribing on everything else. That's really appreciated, and it's pretty cool that people care about what I do. And yeah, like I said before, I just started this channel. I had the channel, and then I just actually started doing videos again in like May of this year. And yeah, a lot of people have come around and watched, which is pretty cool. So yeah, again, thanks for watching. I'll talk to you guys again soon. And yeah, just have a great day. All right, thank you.